Welcome to Fix It or Not. A very wet and windy day outside, so you might hear the rain on the window. Wind's going to get worse later. I was hoping to have a couple of Game Boys to fix today, but only one's turned up, so let's pull that out of the box and see what it's like. Here we go, fresh from the postman this week. Let's open it up. We got a recycled box, or is this a new box? Pull tab not been used. That's quite satisfying. It's nicely packaged. And there we have one Game Boy. Let's throw that down there. It's a good start, isn't it? That's what I was expecting. Afternoon, oblong life. How are you doing this afternoon? Lovely and wet out there today. That, on first glance, plastic wise, condition wise, doesn't look too hideous, does it? It's not always easy to tell when you buy this stuff on the internet on how good the stuff is, and I do try to buy stuff that looks reasonably decent, because you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? Little mark on the front. Sorry, I'm just obsessed by that little mark. I don't think it'll come off. Just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. Yes, Game Boys today. I was supposed to be getting a couple, and that may still turn up. It is due to be delivered today, so I might get an unexpected parcel that comes in from the side, which will be another box with another Game Boy in it, because you never know what these are going to be like when they're inside. Did they actually have anything written on those buttons? I don't remember. I'm inclined just to put some batteries in this and see what it does, as I've got some prepared here. Brand new batteries. Battery door's a bit loose, so we do get a light. Right, in preparation for fixing Game Boys, I did buy a Game Boy game, and it had to be Tetris, didn't it? I assumed when I looked on the internet that because every Game Boy was sold as Tetris, there'd be hundreds of them, but there isn't really. So it didn't cost me a lot, that Tetris, but there wasn't lots to choose from. Yeah, no difference. Trouble is, this is the first time I've tried testing both of these, the Tetris and the Game Boy. So no display. No idea what that means. I've never even attempted to fix the Game Boy before. I've never opened one before. So let's see. There is I do have 6 volts set up here. It's often useful to tell whether how much current the thing's actually drawing. So I could run this off of here. Which way does this go? Yes. My tool set doesn't let me down. Cats are cute. Welcome. Welcome. It's interestingly, I've got something else a little bit later if the repair on this is a bust, which is my daughter's old dual screen, which I may look at and get time to look at today, and it's covered in cats. Hello Kitty, I think is the right the right explanation for the stickers on that. We shall see. I don't know if I'm going to get to that. Let's see what we can find out what's going on with this one. Right, what do I need to be careful of when opening this? There's a ribbon cable, and that's it. Let's get those screws out so we don't lose them. So what have we got here? You two can disappear up there, don't need you for a minute. And you. Does it look like anybody's been here before? Just pop those glasses off so I can get a better look. I can see signs that people have been in here. Power connector looks like it's been replaced before. This one here. So someone's tried fixing this previously. What's this? That's the is that the headphone? That's the headphone jack. What else do we have going on here? So the power inputs here and here. Doesn't look particularly corroded though. I've seen lots of people doing these before. They look terrible inside, but this one doesn't. So I don't think it's corrosion is the problem. That's not a particularly good joint there, is it? Do you know what? I watched somebody fix one of these the other day. I can't remember who it was. And he thought it was dead because the LCD dial was all the way over. And this one looks like it was all the way over. So I'm actually going to try putting that back together again. That's the contrast dial for the display. And if you go too far one way or another, the display will look like it doesn't work. So let's rough this back together and see if it was as simple as that. Put my glasses back on. Lines on the display now. Didn't see lines on the display before. Something's changed. Huh, look. Let's try and do something. Just get the Nintendo logo. It looks like it's resetting, doesn't it? I will pop it in and out. We've definitely got some lines missing on the display. You might, as I've already got the screws out, take it apart and clean it. But that's less dead than it was 5 minutes ago. That looks like it's resetting to the boot loop. Right. I say, I can only trust that is a working Tetris cartridge because I've not seen it work and I don't have anything else to test it in. So we are at the mercy of this Game Boy at the moment. It's interesting actually that all I really did was pull that ribbon cable in and out, wasn't it? Can't see a touch of corrosion down there. Yeah, I think they do ping. I don't think it's getting far enough to the ping point, if that makes sense. Let's take these screws out and have a look. How many screws hold that in? All lift out together. Do have a bit of corrosion down there. Switch, pop that over there. So, Nintendo Game Boy original. I've done a few lookups on a few stats on these. The plastic is very clean on this. The Nintendo Game Boy came out in April 1989, quite a while ago. They sold 118 million of these, which seems bonkers to me. I mean, these pins don't look corroded. There's a little bit of corrosion here and there. I wonder if I should lift that copper up and have a look at those pads underneath, because that's where these all go. And we've got lines missing on the display, haven't we? So we'll do one thing at a time. Let's pop the soldering iron on. Yeah, let's pop that one on. Let's leave that tip in it. I was going to change the tip, but I'll leave that one in there for a minute. So this here looks like it's been worked on before. These look like somebody's already soldered these. These ones here, are sort of that colour, they look like they came out of the factory like that. These ones, and that's the power connector. I think that's the power connector. Or was that? Actually, I think that was the link-up connector. That was the connector where you could link multiple Game Boys together, if I'm right. If I remember these correctly. It's a long time ago since I had one of these. Let's just wet my sponge. Can't solder without a wet sponge. See, they melt so quickly. I doubt that's causing the problem, because I don't think that's anywhere near where the issues are. What else can we see that's going on there? The ribbon connector for the display looks okay. So, give this a clean. It doesn't look that bad in there, does it? Let's give that a clean. How's that looking? Doesn't look any different, does it? Can you hear the rain out there falling on my window? It's actually quite hard to see in there. That's where the game cart goes, in there. It'll focus on the right spot. Zoom out a bit. Nope, what's the zoom on the top? Just going to have to take my word for it. That is not particularly dirty in there either. So. Give that a clean. So the first time you open anything, and I say this is the first time I've ever been in a Game Boy. I used to repair Apple Macs and stuff down to component level. As an example of that's a MacBook Air motherboard, which I've got spare, as an idea of what surface mount stuff looks like now compared to stuff from 1989. I mean, this is much easier to work on. What else do I know about the Game Boy? As I say, I don't know if it was the same all around the world, but definitely all the Game Boy units that were sold here, the original Game Boys, were sold with Tetris. And I'm going to assume that was the same around the world. So everybody at least got a Tetris game. So does that mean there was a... It suggests that there was 118 million Tetris games sold, but I don't know if that's true. Whether they counted it, because it came with the actual unit itself. So what did we have? That went in that way. So that's negative and that's positive. Yeah, I've got negative and positive on there. Can I fire this up out of the box? Don't think that's going to be straightforward. What we got? Plus, minus. Where was the off button? On top. On, off. Let's get some desk power on here. Just double check. Minus. Plus. Let's zoom this out a bit. Back to nothing. Interesting. Let's take in 0.132 amps. The difference. Let's check those off. Looking, can't see anything obvious. Can't fix all of these in minutes, can you? And this is probably a little bit more complicated than the previous videos I've done. Where else does this look like it's been worked on? I don't think this is going to be a big enough tip to get that off. Don't see my buzzing those through without taking that off. I mean, it's getting power. There's corrosion on that connector there, on that part there. But that's the worst of the corrosion I can see. Let's turn that off and let it cool down. I'll put a bigger tip on there and we'll see if we can get this off. Does that come off? You just heat the solder up and lift that off the machine. How does this lift off? Does it just lift off? Looks like it. Don't want to break it, so I'm trying to be delicate. It's stuck on. Screw there. Can we see? Big head's not in the way, is it? Is it hot? Off. That was quite delicate. Oh yes, we've got lots of stickiness under there. Let's give it a clean. Sorry, I'm not rabbiting too much because this is all new to me. Well, what were we talking about? We were talking about Game Boy games. So I had a look at some of the games I certainly remember playing that were out at the time. Super Mario Land, Super Mario Land 2. Great little games on the Game Boy. What else is on my list? Metroid. I think it was Metroid Prime, but I found it listed as Metroid 2. We had The Legend of Zelda. And the biggest sellers, by quite a long way it seemed, was the Pokemon games of various types. But what does it say down there? Best-selling games of over 46 million sold were the Pokemon games, which is quite bonkers, isn't it? Which I don't know how that compares with what games are sold now. Maybe it doesn't. Metroid Prime was the GameCube, was it? And this just says it was Metroid 2. I do remember Metroid Prime. Must have been from the GameCube. Another console I had back in the day. Also a great console. I think oblong life you've had most of the Nintendos, haven't you, over the years? Did you have a Wii U though? That doesn't seem to be particularly popular, the Wii U. Although that did sell in quite big numbers as well. I am just cleaning all this sticky stuff off so I can see what's going on. But, I don't think it hurts to give this a clean. I think over the years, I think I've owned most of the variants of the Game Boy. It's hideous, hideously dirty still. Let's keep cleaning. So it's the games, it's the Nintendo games that sell them. Is it Oblong Life? I'm inclined to agree with you. I still think Mario 64 is one of my favourite games ever. It's certainly one I've completed a couple of times. Not 100%ed it, but rescued the princess. Got pretty close though. I think I was only a few stars away from 100% on that one. It's certainly one that I consider worth going back to see if I can one day, but don't seem to have the time to play games like I used to. What happens there? I mean, all those tracks to me look good. I can see a short, and I probably did that down here. Where is the jungle? Welcome to this me attempting for the first time to fix a Game Boy. And I think that short that was down there was me. Right up to when a friend's child deleted my 95% complete save. Oh dear. You wasn't too annoyed about that though, was you? You can't get annoyed with other people's children, can you? It wasn't one of my children, was it? Was it someone's child I know? If you say yes to that, I'll probably know who you're talking about. Right, there was a short down there, but I think I did that cleaning up the joints. Let's have a look. Need some more isopropyl alcohol. No one I know. Okay, that's alright then. So where is the jungle? Is this the sort of thing you're interested in seeing repaired? I'm curious. I mean, I'm actually repairing stuff that I find interesting, but because I never got round to it in the day, I wasn't repairing electronics like this when these were out. So one of the common things I've seen on these is these tracks. This, too many wires. Go away. Let's move some wires. For God's sake, let's tidy up. Move them over there. Move that over there. Let's have a look at this. So certainly these tend to corrode, and these tracks break along the edge there. That's what I've seen on others repairing them. And that doesn't look like the case on this one. They all look pretty good, don't they? There's no issues there. Embedded systems or electronics, and I kind of ended up here randomly. It's alright, you can drop in randomly. I'm a software engineer myself. Well, I've pretty much done nearly all hardware all my life. Dabbled with software from time to time, but I have to say, pulling things apart is what I enjoy doing. I've seen much worse than this on the internet working. Let's take a look at the other half, shall we? See if we can see what's going on here. This is the side with display on. It's the side with the speaker on. And we're not hearing any speakers, are we? How does this come apart? There are a lot of screws in there. Get myself some space over there. We're going to have buttons falling out, I should imagine. We'll take a look, see what's going on with this display. These all the same size, look like it. Obviously, the more complicated these boards get, I say this is a fair amount more complicated than the Simon and the clock radio that I've previously done. The more places need inspecting for obvious faults. Am I going to regret this? Oh, I missed one. Slightly bonded on. Leave that intact. Now we have a display. Buttons. I've seen somebody replacing these displays. You have to unsolder that bit there. Doesn't really reveal much, does it? As if 1989 is still very much the past. But, electronics changed quite a lot in quite a short amount of time, didn't it? So, what do we reckon that clock radio was 70s? This could be a decade on. I don't think there's anything wrong with there, but I've just popped a bit of solder on there. So a close look, see what's going on. That's the LCD. What did that touch? Not sure. That'll be reasonably delicate, I think, because that is just like a ribbon cable. So, just in case there was any joints not connected there. What else have we got going on here? The pads do look a bit dirty. Let's we'll give it a clean. Just the two of us now, by the look of it, of long life. I'm enjoying myself. Well, I'm going to say there's nothing obvious wrong with it. It was a bit dark. I do have another light. I can actually make it extremely bright if I want to. It does depend what angle I'm holding it at. Go off. Yeah, off. Pads are these over by this LCD controller. Somebody's definitely been in here trying to fix this before, which is what you're into when you buy things off of eBay, spares and repairs, because I'd imagine a lot of times somebody's already had to go out fixing this, been unsuccessful, and then just sold it on. But definitely somebody's been in here. Am I on the right side now? Or you meant the other side? Elbow joints. Fresh flux. Yeah, definitely telltale flux residue. There's no way any of this Nintendo stuff left the factory with flux on. And that, what's going on there with the solder joint on that diode? It's a bit odd, isn't it? It looked like it was making a connection, but it was just too much solder on there. Still not a pretty job. Why is that? We've got copper missing there. That looks odd, that joint. Yes, let's grab some braid. Just take the solder off of there. What's going on with that? Is there no copper left there? Where's it gone? It looks like there's copper there to me. It's not like the pad's missing. Just cleaning that up around there. The joint on the other side looks okay. I don't think it needs that much solder on this side. That looks better. I guess it's round now. What's on the other side of that? Well, that's the two diode connections. Oh, let's get it on camera. That's the two diode connections. It's an LED. It's still slightly dirty, but they look good. Got a resistor there. Each of these tracks here. There's a humongous amount of solder on there as well, look. Yeah, I think it might have had a screen change at some point. I did spray the cartridge contacts. Let's give that another little soak. You mean on the board as well, don't you? I did. They're hard to get into. Must forget there's other people watching. Let's just give that another clean. Well, I should probably investigate the cartridge as well. Don't have any emery paper. I do somewhere have a proper contact cleaner brush, which I should have thought about and found. Not sure where I did do that. It's a bristle. What is it made of? Can't remember what it's made of, but it does clean up these contacts nicely. So let's clean the flux off over here. Is it possible to get this working without putting it back together? I think someone's had a good old go at this. Don't think I can lay my hand on any abrasive paper. I'll have a look in the magic tin in a minute. Yeah, you always have to have a magic tin with bits and pieces in. glue down there. I think I'm going to pop this back together now and see if we've made any difference to this at all. That's some fine emery paper. Taking something off. Clean the contact pins down here. Oh, those pins look bent. What's going on there? Why does that one look different? Or something stuck to that pin. Could it have just been that, stopping it making contact? Let's give that another. Those screws are dirty. Gonna regret that, aren't I? Something else fell out of there, didn't it? Couldn't see the holes because the wires were in the way. Where did the screws go on here? Down it. Each side of the cartridge port. They touch there and there, I think. Let's just give those a little clean. That's what fell on the floor, my brush. There it is. I know I haven't put the metal plate back. I'm going to assume that's a shield to stop patterns on the screen. I don't think it will stop it working. Can't get it in. Over there. I've gone backwards. The light doesn't even come on now. forget anything. Is that important? That's not important, that should work without that. Game Boy Guide to the Galaxy, welcome. This is my first Game Boy opening. Hopefully that's not too obvious, but if it doesn't need that, I'm not going to bother putting it back for a minute. Not that I saw any damage underneath there. Does help if you actually push it in the right place, doesn't it? Thank you for the good luck. I say it's that's better. Might not have had that in the right place. Have you fixed many of these Game Boy Guide to the Galaxy? Mods, what sort of mods are you doing to them? Well, this one's gone from lights coming on and having some display to doing nothing. Sounds interesting. So you can get better. I think I have seen the upgraded displays, the IPS displays for these. Then you can put a USB Type-C battery in it. That would be useful. Nope. Looks like I'm going to have to dig into this one a bit deeper. Have I made a silly mistake somewhere? It was switching on before I pulled it apart, but I will give the switch a clean. Let's just make sure I've not done anything silly here. Those joints look terrible. Didn't spot that before. Solder's horrible. Yeah, if you like anything I'm doing here, please do follow, because I'm been quite successful in my last two previous streams. That the fixes were really quick. I think this one that has had many people inside it before, and they've all given up. So God knows how many people that would be. This is isopropyl alcohol. Take this back out a minute and we'll test some voltages. Like a short down there. everything on the floor. Well, it's more broken now. I've had a go at it. I did just see a short there, which I think potentially I did. It's oh, yeah. Minus is the spring. Minus is the spring. Let's remember, minus is the spring. Is the power supply off or on? Off. It's working again. Ha ha ha! There's no audio though. The buttons don't work. Oh, start. Maybe they do. Hey, hey. There's no sound. But can't remember how to play Tetris. I don't remember that display being that bad. Where's the volume control? I just thought of that as I looked up and saw you. I think that's the volume on the side there, so the volume control is up. Well, I cleaned the switch as you suggested. I also, I think I saw potentially a short I put on there cleaning some joints. So I'm going to say thank you, Gameboy. Well, Gameboy Guide to the Galaxy, because it could have been your cleaning switch that helped there. So many thanks for that. Certainly made a difference. And whatever I've done to this, it's gone from not working to coming on, but we've got no audio. Well, the other issue could be capacitors, but if we can look closely in here, there's a switch. That there is a switch. Now, I can't remember whether it was the contact making or breaking, but let's grab myself a pair of headphones. Disconnect them from my computer. See if we can see that operating. I might have to go with some manual focus here because it's jumping around on my hands. And the focus is going to keep locked there, so I don't think that's moving. There's two very thin contacts in there, and I don't think they're changing because you can see that there's a little plastic actuator in there. Let's grab something to point with. Just in there, that piece of plastic, and that's pushing too. As I push it in, it pushes in. But I don't think those contacts are breaking in there. I think they may have welded themselves together. give it a squirt of some isopropyl alcohol. Interesting whereabouts they go, what connectors. What have I got I can get in here to clean that with? Where are the switch contacts on this? I wonder if I take that off the board, I can get in the other side of that and see what's going on. I'll work out whether that's just bent or that's one of the contacts. Fiddly this, keeping it on the camera. I think that is supposed to be, I think those two are supposed to be connected. Where's my headphones gone? Actually, I wonder if that will just do it. About the same size as a connector, it is. Where's my brush? Need to pull that bit off. Let's move that down there. Get some focus on it. Get some bristles in there, see if we can get that cleaned out. I wonder if I can work out which of those contacts are breaking or making. What I'm curious about is that there are two, I think these two here are supposed to be joined together. So I think that's a little bit of a red herring. I don't think there's supposed to be a gap there, but I think that's the contact there. So when the headphones are out, that there is supposed to be making contact, and if those contacts are dirty, I'm going to guess that's why we're not getting any audio. Let's give that a little bit more. It does look like it's making and breaking, but if those contacts are dirty, it won't. I could probably get a meter on that and buzz each side and see. Let's give myself some buzzes, some continuity. And with that out, be careful I'm not activating that. That seems to be working. Of course, it might have been working before. Right, let's test see if that's made any difference. Yeah, you can go over that. So I've had a few more bits and pieces purchased on eBay. So I think I mentioned I have not an original Sony Walkman, but it is a Sony Walkman. It was one of the latter ones with mega bass and stuff all over it. I think it's quite a nice looking. It looks in good condition. It's still in the box. I like to open them up, and you can experience what they get to me like from the eBay seller. And I also today got an Atari 2600 old school game console. For not too much money, with some games and some controllers. I do remember that those controllers had a habit of breaking because they were only plastic inside, so we a fair amount to check on those to see how they work and if they are working and if the Atari's working. It's not going in there properly. That's better. So I sprayed a bit of isopropyl alcohol on those connectors, not because I thought they were dirty, but just to lubricate the wire going in, which made it a bit easier. So see if we can get some batteries in here. I've got a DS Lite over there, which was my daughter's, which might get a chance to take a look at today. Audio. Ding. So yeah, but no gameplay. Try that again. We need to clean that switch up a bit more. Let's not get too wrapped up in playing this. It'll be all day. But that dodgy line comes and goes, doesn't it? I don't think that's going to require too much. Anyway, audio's working. Let's look at the next, which is that line on the display. Let's just switch that on again. Now it's fine at the moment, look. It comes and goes over here in this area. And there's some glue. Let's look more closely at that. We'll see if we can make that display a little bit more reliable. And then this one can go on the shelf for a little final clean. Now I need to be able to get this on with the display on so I can see what I'm doing with a bit of heat. Let's get the soldering iron on. Ready. And it's curious that Nintendo put the security screws on the outside, but once you was on the inside, we're quite content with normal screws. Let's cheat using the little electric screwdriver. I bought this little electric screwdriver when I used to fix MacBooks, just because so many screws. It's USB chargeable. Are we in focus? Yeah, I think I'll leave that on manual focus for a minute. Saves it jumping in and out while I'm undoing screws. A few screws holding this display and button circuit board in. The other Game Boy I've got over there is a DS Lite, and it was working fine when it was put in a drawer many years ago, but I found a power supply for it and plugged it in. The light comes on briefly and then goes off, and I think that could be an internal fuse. There we go, there's the display. I think we need, I'm going to lay that on there, a way of insulating that from the rest of the board. That's the way it goes in, isn't it? Yeah. The display needs to clean as well. Now I think, where's my scalpel? I think this bit comes off. I'll get that off. Put that to one side, and there's some glue along here. Let's bring you in a bit closer. There's some, this is glued, and heat on here re-sticks it and should bring the display back. I don't think I've got the soldering iron set at 330 degrees centigrade. I think I'm going to turn that down to 280. Right, now we can see where these this might take a little bit of but what we're aiming to do is to melt that glue. They'll get worse. And then as the glue sets, they should come back. So I've got the contrast all the way up so I can see those. Ultra focused can we be on this? I think this does require a hell of a lot of patience. See, they disappear and come back. And as you get one working, others disappear. Oh, I didn't end up using a bit of paper because I've just flipped it over, flipped the screen over. It's hard to work out if I'm making this better or worse. Nerve-wracking. It's not, well, I think it's just I did have a little bit of a read about how you fix these displays, and this is just I think it's just a little bit of trial and error. Pop a bit of heat on, melt it, hope it sticks back. Getting better on that right side, I think. camera cooled down? It still feels warm, but it's not gone off. Doesn't feel like it's getting better, does it? Nearly on that end. Oh! Stay fixed. That end, I think, is now all working. It's a dibber to hold them down after the heat. I'm not making it that hot. I can actually use my finger. I'm wondering if I'm actually heating it enough for it to melt and to stick back. What have we got to use as a dibber? I've got a cotton bud over here. Let's grab a cotton bud. Broke the other end now again. Look. Maybe this soldering iron's a bit too big. I think the other thing that's slightly confusing is I don't think it's quite that was a bit more heat that time. Sorry, I'm not saying much, I'm concentrating. It looks pretty good now, doesn't it? The more heat the better, I think. I wasn't giving it enough heat. So all I was actually doing, I think, was disturbing the connections rather than melting the glue to stick them back. That makes sense. I'm going to do that at a little bit of a different angle, because I'm wonder how long this lasts, this repair. I think, although that's quite a thin looking film, it does look like it will take a reasonable amount of heat. This is definitely trial and error. Go on. Go on, go on, go on. I actually have a radio, amateur radio in my van. It has a very similar display and a very similar problem with lines disappearing. And I suspect this fix would fix that as well. Hello, Game Boy Guide to the Galaxy again. Good to see you again. Got an extra Sunday stream going today because I'm not around tomorrow, and I desperately wanted to get this finished and working as well as I could. So I got the sound working a little bit earlier, and now I'm having to go at this display, see if I can get all the lines working properly. We're nearly there. I did fix the audio issue, yeah. It was just the connector, the little switch on the 3.5 connector, that I give it a clean, and that now appears to have all its lines back. How long is that going to last? Let's give that display a bit of a clean. I think if that stays working, this is now working 100% in this Game Boy. I think I'll give it a bit of a play over the next few days just to make sure it's going to be happy. And I think I should put this one on eBay as a worker, and it's in really good condition. If anybody's seen the inside of Game Boys, bad ones, yeah, I'm enjoying working on this Game Boy. Was it Game Boy Guide? I am enjoying working on these. They're quite fun. They're complicated enough to be interesting. I mean, a lot more interesting than the Simon I did the other day, because there was nothing to the Simon. Literally was a battery connector on that. Didn't take long at all to fix. See if I can get this display as clean as I can. Doesn't look very clean on the camera, does it? So have you been up to anything interesting, Gameboy guide? Glad to have you back. Glad you're interested in these. I am going to fix a few more. I've got another Gameboy that's still in the box from eBay. And how long have I been streaming here? Just an hour. I might pull the DS Lite apart that I've got over here and have a look to see what's going on with that. I think that's a fuse, internal fuse that's gone. Now, for those that wondered what I cleaned that with, I did use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, but it was just leaving marks. So I've just used a damp cloth. And while doing so, I've broken the screen again. You know what? I find fixing this stuff quite relaxing as well. I'd imagine that's designed to put some sort of pressure on that display. Let's switch this off. Get it back together. And have a quick game of Tetris, shall we? Clean the inside of that. Now, I am hoping I get this back together and there's no more lines on that screen. It does look fairly delicate. Just a little bit of water in there. Clean that up. Let it dry off before I put the screen back in. That's about as clean as we're going to get that. Gameboy guide, do consider following me. I've been trying to get those numbers up. Be nice to get a few people following me on here and hit the milestones. Right, let's get this back together. Looks much cleaner than it did. Where's my electric screwdriver? Thank you, Gameboy guide. So it's not all gonna be Gameboys, but I do have a few coming. I've got an old Atari 2600 console that I purchased today, and Sony Walkman I'm going to have a look at. I mean, these things are, because of my age, they just interest me, and I will be looking at some newer consoles at some point in the not too distant future, if I can get some that are not stupid money broken, because they do sell for stupid money broken. The Walkman could be a hard one. I think the biggest issue with most of the Walkmans is the belts. I don't think it's going to be any more complicated inside electronic wise than this is. Might be a bit fiddly opening it up, so that might be an interesting one. Getting it open and seeing what's wrong. It looks in really good condition on the pictures from eBay. I don't. If it looks in good condition, you'd expect it's probably been looked after quite well. Can't remember whether it said it powers up or not. I think it did say it powers up. I'm going to guess before I even look at it, it's definitely going to be a belt, because they just fall apart over time. I do have some spare belts I've bought for various different things coming up, but be lucky if it's just a belt. Often getting to the belts is tricky, what needs to come apart and what doesn't. So that'll be an interesting one. I do have some audio cassettes over there. Bit of a hi-fi geek. I really want to try a mini disc. I have tried fixing a mini disc player before, and it was actually the mini disc itself, the laser module, was faulty. But I didn't have the components or the test equipment needed to calibrate a new one, so I did buy a new one, couldn't get it working, so I had to sell that on eBay again as spares of repairs, but with the replacement laser. So hopefully that went to someone that knew how to do that. I did have all the information on what needed to be done as well. I just didn't have the right equipment to do it. And I've got equipment. I've got signal generators and scopes and things. That's annoying. All that work and we've still got one out. As you can hear, we've got sound. Can you hear the sound? Can you hear the beeping? Is that audio coming across? It's as loud as it goes. Turn it down a bit. Oh, do I have one more go at seeing if I can get rid of that last line? I think while we're at it, we might as well. So many screws to take in and out. I did give that the on-off switch a bit more of a clean as well. Gameboy guide with some proper switch cleaner this time, which I threw on the floor. Which not sure what's in it because it doesn't smell just like isopropyl alcohol. I don't think they have to give you what's in them, but I've seen this WD-40 contact cleaner used before. It seems to be pretty decent. I bought that ages ago, that contact cleaner, and that was to fix a switch on a motorbike, and it did the job nicely. Going to give this one more go. Let's see if I can get rid of that last line. Not too bad, all these screws with an electric screwdriver. I've got someone taking the PS5 apart, and there's hundreds, well, I don't know if there's hundreds, but there's loads of screws inside the PS5. Right. intermittent, that one, isn't it? I'll have a look at some Game Boy colours. I do fancy having to go every single one. I've actually got one of the last Game Boys, the big one, and I can't find it. I've got it somewhere in the house. I just can't find it, and they sell for really good money. I think that is working again, just with a little bit of pressure on there. I don't think I'm going to put any more heat on that because I think I'll make it worse. It's just a case of just kind of getting it back in the box, back in the case carefully. Do. You hold that a minute. Thank you. Sorry, it's not quite right there. Right, let's try that again. So the Game Boy Color, it plays all of the games for this, and it's got its own. Has it got its own, or is it just these and some special colour games? I can't remember the history of where that came. I suppose there's a real risk with this as well, but I get it working, I post it off to someone, and just the movement of it being posted somewhere is going to cause that display to play up again. It plays all the old ones and the special colour games. Are they the same size as these, or are they smaller games for the colour? I think they were the same size cartridges, weren't they? Because it was the advanced. Was it advanced where they got smaller? Right. No lines. Let's pop the screws back in and get that back together. Ah, clever. Let's get this back together. Yeah, I'd like to get one of each, at least have a go at fixing one of each of them, and there's quite a few, so that will make some nice content going forward, and I'm sure people will be interested in looking inside them, and we can compare what they're like and the differences. I mean, this is more complicated inside than I was expecting it to be for something made in 1989. I think it was quite ahead of itself. I'm trying to think what else was out there at the time that compared to the Game Boy. I think it was, considering what came before these from Nintendo were those little liquid crystal Game & Watch things, which was still quite fun. This was a million miles ahead. Is it worth me getting one of those really old liquid crystal Game & Watch things? Is anybody interested in that? I have seen a few. I suspect they are pretty reliable, but probably about as easy to fix as a watch, because it looks like the same sort of technology. Game Boy Color is the most repair friendly system ever made. The Game Boys that have the clamshell designs are a nightmare. Yeah, I have I've actually replaced a while ago. I had a clamshell one and the hinge broke, and I did replace the case. I bought a case for repairing it, and it was a nightmare just to change the case. It was a horrible job. I don't even know where that Game Boy is. I suspect my children have them somewhere. Hidden in their rooms, so they are all on notice to find them. I would like to take them apart, just see if they work. Take them apart, get them working. Right. Fingers crossed. That flicker is also, I can see that flicker. I think it's my lights flickering, making the screen flicker. I did waste many hours playing this game. Got to have the sound though, hasn't it? Can't improve my lighting. Right, is everybody bored with me watching playing Right, that's enough. Tetris never gets boring. You're absolutely right. Probably one of the most addictive games ever made. But I'm going to finish there now today. Next time I think we'll look at something else. I might look at the Walkman next time. And see you all later. Take care. Have a good rest of your Sunday, everybody out there. And I will catch you on the next one. Take care, everyone.